Leiden, and it's probably about a 10-minute train ride from Den Haag, and it's around €8 round trip. Halef told me to come up here because he told me that there are a lot of Indonesians up here, and I'm really hoping that means that there are a few Indonesian restaurants, because I haven't really had great Indonesian food yet, but I really want to try something. But I'm going to try to find something here for lunch. A couple of interesting facts about Leiden. It is where the tulip was introduced to Western Europe, so it's one of the things, of course, the Netherlands is very, very famous for. It also has a very big university, the University of Leiden, which is behind me. It's also the place where Rembrandt was born, and I understand there's a couple of museums here that showcase his work. It's also very cold here today. I know it looks really, really sunny behind me, but I'm in a place now where there's not much wind, but when you get out in the street a little bit, it's a lot more windy, so that wind is really blowing in your face. But it's still a beautiful day, and hopefully we'll get some good video here. First thing we're going to do today is we are going to head over to Leiden City Hall. It's about a mile away, so I got a bit of a walk ahead of me. And I'm going there because I've heard it's a nice building, but I've also heard there's something really, really cool inside that I want to show myself and I want to show you guys. So we're going to take a walk over there right now and get a bit of exercise along the way. Lots of really colorful buildings in the background. There's definitely a lot of work going on around here. If you can see behind me there, they seem to be doing up the area around this windmill, which is really cool that they left the windmill there because it's a really nice addition to the city. I would say the city was probably added around the windmill because it's probably very old, but it's really great that they don't tear down things like that because it is quite beautiful, and it is part of what makes being Dutch, Dutch. That is definitely the biggest traditional windmill that I've ever seen. I've seen a lot taller modern ones. It's really cool. Unfortunately, the museum part of it's not open, so I couldn't go in. I'm going to make an assumption that that's where we're going. Another 10 minutes away. That looks like a city hall to you? I think that's what it is. All right, let's go. It turns out I was wrong. That's not the city hall, although it looked like one from where I was standing. This is actually a place called Meerkerk. I think I've got that right. It's an old Protestant church that was built in 1649, or from 1639 to 1649. And it's huge. You can see it from everywhere in the city. So if you need a meeting point ever in Leiden, make it here. It's real easy to spot. One thing that I've noticed here is it's practically dead on the streets. There is really nobody out, but that's probably because it is pretty cold today and maybe people are staying inside or off at work or something. But it's definitely a lot fewer people than in Amsterdam and even in The Hague. But it's kind of nice. I feel like I have the city to myself. So we'll be at City Hall in just a few minutes. I just noticed that this church is dedicated to St. Anthony of Padua. One of the most fun things that we've ever done was in Lisbon, Portugal, when we attended the Feast of St. Anthony. It's basically called the Lisbon Sardine Festival. I'll put that link in the description so you can read it. If you're ever in Lisbon, I highly recommend going to the Lisbon Sardine Festival. It's from June 12th to 14th every year, and we had a blast. But be prepared, it's the biggest block party in Lisbon, and you're going to be smelling like burnt sardines by the time you leave. But yeah, nice church. Always loved about the Netherlands since I've been here, and about Europe in general, is you have these really small squares, even in the small towns, where people come out and sit down and have their lunches on the patios. It's a little bit cold for that this time of year, but it's still all set up, and I guarantee you, if the weather's nice tonight, this place will be packed with people just sitting on the patios. They'll be bundled up, they'll be having a beer, coffee, whatever, eating their meals. And it's a really, really quaint, beautiful thing about smaller towns in Europe, and the bigger ones too. shouldn't be surprised that all of these small towns and cities are packed pretty tightly together. But it's really odd because from The Hague to Delft is about a 20-minute tram ride. From The Hague to Rotterdam was about a 25-minute train ride. And from The Hague to Leiden was probably less than 10 minutes. So I feel like if I was in a plane going over all this, it would kind of all mesh together. But again, you shouldn't be surprised because the Netherlands is really, really small and it makes sense. But each of these cities has a really, really kind of unique culture. Rotterdam is more modern. The Hague is somewhere in between. It's got a mix of both. Leiden is really small and quaint with beautiful, beautiful architecture, and Delft is kind of the same way with like these massive, massive churches. But all of them are quite different. And it's really, really interesting that this small country actually controlled a good portion of the world at one time. That always amazes me. How little countries like Denmark and the Netherlands, and to a certain extent Portugal, could have controlled so much of the world. It's because they all lie on the water, I guess, and that was the big thing back then. But yeah, if you get a chance to come to Leiden, you really, really should. And I think this would be fantastic on a summer day, and it's already fantastic today, so what a nice town. Oh, here comes a boat. Well, I'm inside the City Hall right now, and I know I said I had something to show you, but it turns out that that part of City Hall is not open to people. Inside City Hall here in Leiden, there are some Escher drawings that are sort of built into the architecture. That's my understanding, at least. And it's in a restricted area of City Hall that I'm told by the security guard is only open for a couple of days in September when they had the Heritage Days. So unfortunately I wasn't able to show you, but I guess maybe we'll have to come back in September to finish this video. It's 100% crazy that they built these massive churches and the houses are so small. Just the amount of money that must have gone into something like that is nuts. About to head up here. This is the old Citadel of Leiden, and it was built in 1150. And I just saw a sign that said you can bring your dogs up there, you can drink wine and have a picnic up there, and 3, apparently you can smoke pot up there. That it was built as a defense area against the Rhine. So I just found this place. It's called Rembrandt Platz, which I'm assuming is some sort of like Rembrandt Square or things like that. It was the area of town that Rembrandt lived in, and apparently his father owned several homes here. Rembrandt, of course, was born in 1605 or 1606, I think, and he lived here until about 1631. So this is a square dedicated to him, and you see the young kid up there looking at the bust of Rembrandt. I just read that this bronze statue was created to celebrate the 400th year of Rembrandt's life, and nobody really knows who the statue is of, but it possibly is of Rembrandt himself, studying a bust of himself. So actually that's pretty cool. I know this is probably very wrong of me to say, but does anyone else think that Rembrandt looked a little bit like Muammar Gaddafi? You see a lot of these trees around Leiden, and I don't know what they are, so if anybody could let me know in the comments that would be great. They're really weird looking. They look like they've had all of the brush cut off it in preparation for the summer bloom or something. Kind of like a crepe myrtle, but way different. Those are some big fat geese. Museum Volkenkunde has an exhibit of Canadian native art, which is actually pretty cool. First Nations represent. There's nobody eating this stuff here today. It's just way too cold.